What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the dumbest and the smartest show on the entire internet. Drink and Grow Rich. Cheers. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm testing out something new. I'm also live on YouTube right now. So we're going to see how that goes. But obviously, this is where my focus is. Hey, yo, what's up? What's up, Raxon? How you doing, Raxon? Are you out of your parents' house? Have you been making any progress on the things we talked about a couple weeks ago? D-Hack Nico Lahanis. So the Sean Lowry podcast, 69 episodes in the books in 69 weeks. And I have a new format coming for the next 10 episodes. It's going to be something different. It's going to be the same guest 10 episodes in a row. And it's going to be my good boy, David Hecker, with Brandon on it too. And it's going to be, so basically I've done 70 podcasts, 69. And a good amount of them I've done by myself. And when I do it by myself, it's basically an essay. It's an essay. I have to write it. I have to think about everything I'm going to say beforehand. There's nothing off the cuff because I can basically predict what I'm going to say next. And then I've also done a bunch of guests, which has been awesome. I've had some huge guests on the show. And that's cool. But every time you talk to them, it's kind of getting to know them. And it's also talking about whatever their main thing is. Like I had the 3D printing guy on. I learned a lot about 3D printing. That was awesome. But I like podcasts where you have the same person over and over, and you kind of build rapport and talk about events because you get to talk about the cool stuff. And you get to just be yourself, but also not have to literally write an essay, which is all planned out and thought through beforehand. So it gives a little more off the cuff. So it's going to be a new era of the podcast. I'm getting excited for it. You ready for it, Brandon?
Yes.
You excited? Brandon's going to have in the podcast, he's going to have
Big bites.
Brandon's big bites. And it's just going to be his, whoa, it's weird.
I got you.
It's just going to be like, what you doing over there?
I'm making it a different angle.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Don't worry about it. He's working on it. But all right, Rex, I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I recently got back from the hospital, and I had 2 MRIs with some therapy here and there.
What the fuck is going on with him?
No, but I haven't gotten any closer between moving out of my parents' house, but I'm going to. Joel of Politics, what's up? How do I like the H3 podcast? I don't know that much about it, but I was talking about that podcast the other day. Those guys are huge. It's a guy and his wife. I don't know enough. It's on my radar, but I haven't listened to it enough to have an opinion on it. But it seems like a pretty good show. It's a big podcast. And Joel of Politics, give me one sentence what you think about what's going on right now. I will say you nailed your prediction about the popular vote. I hope someone out there is having a drink with me. I also have this whiskey. I was on a podcast yesterday called, what was it called? The Kogan
Conversation.
The Kogan Conversation. It was this guy started a new podcast. Oh, that's a cool angle on YouTube.
Yeah.
If anyone asks me something on YouTube, I'll Venmo him $5 right now just to see what it looks like. But yeah, it was just I was the first guest on his podcast, and he said I have to drink whiskey. So I got whiskey, and I drank it with him, and we talked about all kinds of cool stuff. The Dos Equis was cold and refreshing. Appreciate the insight last week, brother. Meech, have you made any progress? Did you quit your job yet? Did you talk to your boss? That was a great conversation last week, talking about you were ready to move on, ready to go to a new stage of life, do something bigger with your life. I'm doing good though. I'm still reading books and listening to podcasts. I don't know what to say about all that MRI stuff. I mean, I hope you're okay. Obviously, being healthy is the most important thing. I hope you're happy and healthy. But also, don't lead with that. If anyone ever asks me how I'm doing, they say, "How Sean, how are you doing?" I have one answer, and it's, "I'm fucking great. I'm great." You always just have to be just positive and yes, it's okay to be down sometimes, but I don't know, not really. The entrepreneur mindset is always just look at things positively. If something happens bad to you, you kind of just just brush it away a little bit. I mean, that's kind of the attitude you want to have. Did I read Magic yet? I didn't. I did not. Whoa, on YouTube, that's a crazy angle. Hey Claire, what's up? United Monograms fan number 1. Gap is to get back in Philly sales. Interview is the next step. Dude, you're going to crush it, man. Sales are fun. Sales, you got to call people. It depends what the job is, but I wonder if you're going to have to be making phone calls. Usually that's how sales start. The boiler room, making phone calls, cold calls. Cold calls are the worst because you call someone and that means they don't know that you're calling them. And you just have to be like, hey, this is who I am and this is what I want to sell you. And you got to do it in a quick time, right on the phone. And most of the time they don't answer. But then do you leave a voicemail or do you follow back up? What's the strategy? I play a lot of sports, so one of my knees is really bad, and my shoulder is hyperextensive, so my doc says my tissue is really weak, and my ACL or PCL might be blown out. I don't know, man.
Wants to complain to you.
Yeah, what do you want me to say? Like, oh, your poor knee. Like, sorry, man. Like, the world doesn't care about that stuff. Like, that sucks. But, like, I'm not that interested in it. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. Pretty pumped about it, honestly. It'll be fun. Woo! Haha. Sorry, Max. That's the truth. That's the mindset.
Yeah, I'm liking that angle.
I don't know if I can see if people comment here on YouTube.
You'll see you.
Since there's 3 people. If someone, I told you, the first person to comment on YouTube, at the end, I'm gonna DM them $5 because I want to see what it looks like over on YouTube. It looks way different than it does here on Instagram.
It's just a super wide angle. Yeah.
No, dude, I'm over it, and I'm walking and reading books. Hell yeah. The cognitive convo. I found out yesterday, I went to the store with the assignment to get whiskey. And I got this, right? Look at it. American Oak Scotch whiskey. I was like, all right. And honestly, I make decisions at the beer store and stuff and the liquor store. I just make them fast. Like, I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm not a connoisseur of fine drinks. I'm an expert on many things. I love exploring the brain, but when it comes to drinking, I just like Blue Moon. It's the most delicious. It's a good price. But I grabbed this one, and turns out this is more of a Scotch than a whiskey. And I appreciate it. Alan everyone go check out Alan's podcast. It's the whiskey, what's it called? The Kogan Convo. And it was so much fun doing it. We talked about, he's a smart guy. He's an intellectual. He's kind of like an intellectual guy who is a social science guy. So he's interested in the way people think and the way people do things and how that affects society. And those conversations are so fascinating. We had a great podcast. I don't remember everything we talked about, but it seemed like it was fun. And this one is for the newest podcast out there, the Kogan Convo with Alan Kogan. You want to swig, Brandon? Brandon likes the whiskey. Why do you like the whiskey?
Makes you feel like a man.
Usually, you don't even always have a beer with me to drink and go rich. But yesterday, you took a big ass shot of whiskey, and now you're drinking the whiskey. What's the difference for you between the beer and the whiskey?
It gets you there faster.
It is better, more calorie efficient. Like beer, the one reason I'm not the fittest guy in the world is honestly, I think beer and wine. I go to the gym every day, I work out, I'm in great shape, but beer and wine, they have a lot of calories in them. How do you get home after drinking at work? I walk. Well, I drive home with Shelby. So I have someone to drive with me. But also, my Tesla drives itself, baby. So all I got to do is kind of make some turns and don't ask that question. Katrina Montgomery _.
Grant said he's going to claim your $5.
Hey, Grant Brown. Grant Brown, he's the
producer.
He's the producer from the Kogan Convo. All right. I can't get on my phone and Venmo you right now, or I would, but I will. You DM me right now, and when I get off my phone, I'll have a DM, and I'll absolutely tell me your Venmo and tell me just your Venmo, and I'll Venmo you $5. But also, whoever asks the best question still gets to win the money for today. One of my favorite affordable Scotch whiskeys. Oh, so you're calling me cheap? You're saying I'm a cheap ass? This was $55. I went to the store yesterday. There was $200 ones, and I was like, I'll get the $55 one. And I don't know. I feel like it looked cool. This was the one thing that sold me. American Oak. Scotch is just whiskey. It's made in Scotland without the E, right? Cheers, brother. Episode come out Monday. I was awesome to talk to. I want to go with something interesting. I don't think I am the best talker. And I'm getting I already paid for a speaking coach And I want to get rid of some of my likes and ums, and I want to be able to get better at my voice. And I also like filled out this thing for this other guy. His name's Richard Love. He's like the voice coach of all these famous people, and I've been getting his emails. And one thing he says to do to practice is to go up the ladder and then go down the ladder, and then go up the ladder and go down the ladder. So I drink a little bit of whiskey, and then I drink a little bit of beer, and then I go live on YouTube and I go live on Instagram. That's one of like the tests to get better at like going. So far, what he's taught me is you got to go up and down the ladder to have more inflection in your voice. And then also one thing he talks about is volume, which means just you want to be able to talk loud enough where it hits the wall and bounces back to you, talking loud. And I thought that was interesting about talking loud. Awesome, but cheap, apparently. Just giving you shit. You did great. Still finding my voice, though. No, I'll never like you again. You called me cheap. Now, getting insulted is one of my favorite things in the world. Any tips for a career change? Ooh, actually, last week on Drink and Grow Rich, Big Meech, the guy who was just commenting, he came on and we talked about his career change. It depends on a lot of things. I mean, give me a little more context about your career change, and I'd love to tell me what you do now. Tell me why you might not want to do it anymore, and I'd be able to give it a little more insight since since there's not a lot of context there. Overall, if your gut is telling you to do a career change, trust your gut. Always trust your gut. I feel like, I don't know. I always say trust your gut, but like, what if you don't trust your gut? I trust my gut. Then you have to change the person that you are to have a gut that you can trust. But just become the person you want to be, and that's going to be very hard. But should you trust your gut if you're not the person that you like? I don't know. Trust your gut. Great question, haha. No, you're mean. Over here, sweet deals. Yeah, someone beat you on your accent. I'm going live for the first time also on YouTube. But yeah. Brandon, I can hear myself in there. Brandon's in the other room listening to me on YouTube. Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear myself. Turn that shit off. Nursing, currently doing courses in online trading. So nursing is obviously a very honorable, great career, and there must be a reason why you want to change from nursing. In online trading, that's not a job. Like, it's not a job to be like a day trader. Like, it's just like a gambler. Like, I made a lot of money investing, and my Bitcoin is way up. All my stocks are way up. But it's not really like a career to be a trader, I don't think. So that's interesting. Did I get my warehouse yet? Nico, today I signed and sent over my approval. So I got approved to get my 22,000 square foot building. And on the 11th, next Wednesday, I'm going for the inspection. And I can still back out at any time I want. So if I go get the inspection and the building is destroyed and I find out that it's going to, in 2 years, sink down a hole, and I want to add a bathroom, if I find out I can't add a bathroom, like, I can still back out. But I've been approved and I'm doing the inspection next week. Oops, sorry. And I'm very, very excited about it. It's going to take my whole life to a whole new world. Nursing is rubbish pay. Watching from Brazil, maybe the only Brazilian here. You know what? I can guarantee you, Gabrielle Bona, you're the only Brazilian here. So congratulations. I do have a question. I'm going to get back to the nursing thing, but I have a question for you, Gabrielle, about Brazil. My entire life, I've loved looking at a globe and seeing, like, where do I want to go visit? And the answer my entire life in America has actually always been Seattle, because it's just up in the corner, and I always wanted to go there. And one time I got drunk and bought a plane ticket to Seattle, and me and Shelby went to Seattle for a weekend. It was awesome. So Seattle, I covered that. It was a great city. The other place in the world that I always look at and want to visit is South America. Brazil, Chile, all those places down there. I want to go there, but I admit I'm kind of scared to go there because I think I'm going to get beat up for being a loudmouthed American. and get my wallet stolen and just get beat up in an alleyway. What do you think about that? Do you think that I should feel safe visiting South America? That's my question. And also, if I'm being absolutely ridiculous, tell me that too, because I would love to go to South America. It's just such an interesting part of the world that there's not a lot of conversations about it, and it seems beautiful. And I want to go to South America very much. And the one thing stopping me was kind of that thought, and I want to know if that thought matters. Only English here. But back to the nursing as being rubbish pay. So basically what you're saying is you want to make more money. And when you're thinking more money, you're thinking like, how can I make more money? And then you're thinking, all right, I'm going to go trade stocks or something like that. Something in like the money world. Money is attracted to people who bring value to the world. And one way to do that is in the form of working for a company or for a business where you provide them value and they pay you. The other way is to go out in the world and create value on your own, start a company. Now that is the life for me. That's not necessarily the life for every single person out there. It's challenging, it's hard, it's not for everyone. So if you want to make a lot of money, the best thing to do is start a business. If it's not for you, there's really not a lot of hacks you can do like to make money. I mean, just trading stocks, it doesn't provide value to the world. That should be your when you're thinking about it and you're thinking about how can I make a lot of money, you should think, how can I provide the most value to the world? And that's a better filter to run it through because that plays out in the long run. Trading stocks doesn't provide value to the world. It just provides value to you. And if you're a big enough investor and you find a company that is so tiny, but you believe in them and you invest your money in them, and then that company grows huge with your money, you actually are providing value to the world with your money and you're not doing anything. But that takes connections and that takes intelligence of understanding things, and it takes having money to begin with. So if you can't invest in a small company that's not public yet, and you don't want to start your own company and you don't want to work for someone, the options are limited as far as becoming super wealthy. So start your own company. And more time at home. What would you be doing if I didn't have my own business? If I didn't have my own business, I would be working for some high-powered job, for sure. That motherfucking ladder and work so hard. You mentioned adding value to the world, but how do you start? Adding value to the world sounds a little like moral. It sounds a little like, I'm not saying don't be selfish. Be selfish. Absolutely be selfish when you're starting your business. You want to make money for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But in order to sell something to somebody, you need to provide value. The value that I provide to the world that I've made my money on is not bringing hope and change to the kids in Africa. It's giving people Monogram clothing that they want for the best price. So you got to think about value doesn't mean do something amazing for the world at first. Now, if I get super rich and I can go save the kids in Africa one day, I'll be able to much do that better than someone that doesn't have any money. But I brought value to the people who wanted my product. They wanted a shirt. They wanted a Monogram shirt. They got it from me. That's value to that person who wanted that thing. So when I say value, I just mean provide something to someone for a good price. And that's what I mean by providing value. And it's hard. Where do you start? The answer to that question is it's impossible to think on a big picture. Where do you start? The answer is you just start something. I started selling t-shirts in my mom's basement 8 years ago. Now I have a $7 million Monogram company. And if I never started, I never would have got here. I never started and said, I'm going to start a Monogram company. You have to pivot. It's you just start doing something, sell something. There's two things you can sell. You can sell content, or you can sell three things. You can sell content, you can sell services, or you can sell product. Think about which one of those things you want to sell. And then I can help you go down which path of those. No one gives a fuck about morals, but when it comes to being considerate, then it's a different story. Sure. But when I'm talking about value, I'm talking about putting something out into the world that can get you money, and your work can provide the value that makes that person worth spending that money. I want to go back to the Brazilian thing real quick. Everything depends on the place. So I said, I've always wanted to go to South America, and I fear getting beat up in an alleyway for being a loudmouth American. Everything depends on the place. Rio, for example, is prepared to receive tourism. But of course, there are scary places to go. You should visit at least Brazil and Chile. You'll love it. What cities should I go to? And like, what cities? Like, if I book a trip, I go to Rio. I can kind of imagine what Rio would be like, to be honest. It's a big city, big buildings, kind of like a New York City. Let me know what other cool cities. If I want to take a trip to South America, what cities should I? 3 cities. What 3 cities should I visit while I'm down there? That's what I want to know. And I want to get the whole South American experience. I want a little bit of city, a little bit of nature, a little bit of culture. I want the whole South American experience in 3 cities. What 3 cities should I go to? That's how you get valuable and loyal clients. Talk about being considerate. Sure. What if Katrina starts a monogramming business? Good luck. I welcome the competition. She can help expand the people who love the market of monograms. And the more people around the world who love monograms are going to be the more people that end up purchasing from the #1 online shop for monograms. Marley Lilly, they're our #1 competitor. Are the 2 best. One of their employees is trying to work for us. Tim Ferriss always talks about Buenos Aires. That's in Argentina. Why doesn't South America have more like news? I feel like when I look at South America, I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's just one big like Shakira song. I guess Venezuela has news from being like communist and all that shit and being all fucked up. But there's not a lot of news, or like you don't know really what's going on in South America all the time. It's interesting to me. Glad I could tune in. Hell yeah. Love the confidence. Oh, of course. Hey, start a monogram business. The thing about a monogram business that's different than other clothing businesses is that you're most likely have to produce the product on your own. You can start a t-shirt business, build up an audience, and then you can have a third party print and produce and ship the product for you. So all you have to do is sell it, and you don't have to do anything. You can do it from a computer. If you want to start a monogram business, you are going to have to buy a machine, get an employee, buy another machine, get another employee, get customer service, order from suppliers. It's a very like hands-on type of business. So you want to do that? Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to build factories. A lot of people are looking for the short, quick fix. How can I make money with doing a less amount of work? I'm not. I'm trying to not only make money now, but also build for a next generation of myself and my world, where I am one of the people who are controlling the people who want to make money without doing the work. I will do the work. I'm building a factory. And one day, I don't think United Monograms will be my main business. It could be some type of personalized clothing business, or personalized meaning like people upload their own things. There's a whole world out there. Zazzle, Cafe Press, they're public companies. I think I could take over those companies in the future. And in order to do that, I need to build my own facilities, and I'm working on it. I'll have so much more power about my own factory, and it's a lot of work, and that's what I'm doing. Because it's the third world. Oh, that's fucking offensive, Kevin. The third world. Just kidding. I guess that's true. I'm not going to start a monogramming business. Are you going to start a business, though? Are you going to start a business? Answer that question. Are you going to start a business? What do you want to create with Lowry Media? How do you know about Lowry Media? We don't know that's the name or anything like that. I'll get back to that, but real quick. South America is the greatest democracy problem ever. People have been electing the same guys that run the country since forever. Looking at America, we're a great country. There's no doubt about that. And we actually kind of do have democracy figured out pretty well. We got everything figured out, man. Like, if people who are fighting about politics these days, just think about Brazil. And I don't really know all the details, but I've kind of heard about this before. It's just like such a problem. Like, it's actually not that big a problem in America. Like, we have democracy. We do. We're counting votes. And we have capitalism. And I just love America so much. Don't even get me started. You mentioned it last week. All right, here's my plan. Here's my idea for that. It would be, right now, I have the podcast, putting myself out there, and we're we're actually investing in like equipment and space and learning about, and I'm investing in Brandon. Brandon is editing the podcast, and like I got these 2 lights right here. Here, I'll show you guys. This is what I'm looking at from my point of view. I got these like these like lights, and like we got like the kind of like the setup, and it's a lot of like technical setup. So just like I'm trying to build a factory and seeing, and there'll be unlimited opportunities about what I can produce in that factory. The media company will kind of be like, we have the microphones, we have the distribution. I would love to eventually hire someone to do a politics podcast, hire someone to do a sports podcast, and it can be all under the wing of the media company. And in my 22,000 square foot building, I'm going to find some space to put some stuff like that. So the media company, and the reason I'm interested in the business model is because every single time I sell a Monogram item of clothing, there's a cost of goods sold associated with it. And cost of goods sold is an accounting term. It means someone gives me $22, it costs me $8, and there's always a cost of goods sold every time, no matter how many I sell. But in the media business, if you have one video, it has one cost of goods sold one time, however much it costs to produce it. But it has the potential to be watched 1 million times. And that is an exponential revenue stream from that one cost of goods sold item. That one produced product can live forever. So it's a great business model if you can figure it out. You're taking Caleb's Boxes course, aiming for YouTube. Thoughts? Have I interviewed him? As I've interviewed him, Caleb Box is the one. He's a spectacular guy. He's very smart, and it's cool that you're taking his course. I will say, Katrina, the one thing I'm noticing with like the trading and the YouTube automation is it does seem like you're trying to do a get rich quick attitude, and that's not a good attitude to have. Get rich quick is not good. It's not the right mindset. It's not like, okay, I want to make a lot of money and I want to do a little amount of work. Where's the secret? And I'm going to look around and I'm going to work hard to find the secret of how to make a lot of money without doing a lot of work. That never works. That never works. The better thing to do is adapt a mindset of I'm going to work hard and it's going to be rewarding and I'm going to make a lot of money. So figure that part out with yourself. And the one, I had Caleb Box on my podcast. He does YouTube automation. He makes a lot of money paying for people to make videos on his YouTube channels. And they're like top 10 NBA plays. So it's like a voiceover and a footage. So he doesn't have to record himself on the camera. And then he puts it out on YouTube and finds niches and he makes a lot of money. The one thing I said when I had him on my podcast is I'm very impressed with their business model, but you work hard, man, and you're very smart. If you make people think that this is an easy thing to do, you're wrong. He also manages employees, and managing employees is one of the hardest things in the world. He makes it sound easier than it is for what he does. That's just a straight up fact. Very intriguing. I'm a fan of the idea. It's more to get out of nursing. Okay. I mean, nursing is such a rewarding thing. But I feel like you want more money, and that's nothing wrong with that. If your gut is telling you to make more money, go follow that gut. But making money is an art. It's not it's an art. Making money is an art. I'm a fan of the idea of growth in media. It's awesome and fun stuff. It's also the hardest one. It's the hardest one because you don't make any money. I put out 70 episodes of my podcast. I do the Stream Go Rich every week. And I have the means to do it thanks to my company. But I haven't made a penny. I haven't made a penny in revenue. I don't have any ads. And I know, and I put in 70 weeks. And I pay Brandon to do it, to help produce it. Like I put in effort and time. I promoted some of my podcasts like on Facebook. That's cost money. It's the hardest one to catch. Out of services, products, and content is by far the hardest one to make money in right away. My strategy here is I'm doing it for fun. I enjoy it. And that has to be my attitude because I know I'm not going to make money for a long time. But it's the long haul and I'm having fun. But if I didn't have my business that I spend all my time on and make all my money on, then I wouldn't have the luxury to be able to do this. Hello, Jesus. Jesus Bravo. What kind of, like, naming yourself Jesus? That's a bold. I know it's probably Jesus, or I don't know. That's bold. The drunkest I've ever got on these is when I had Brandon in the whiteboard, and part of the game was draw the same thing and then drink. And he reminded me, basically. So if you're out there and you got to drink with me, take a few sips. Sticking out is tricky. Putting pause on the platform is such a huge ocean of content. Editing, development sucks. Kudos, Brandon. But like you said, it's fun to produce. Absolutely. And I knew from the beginning. I've been doing this for about a year and 3 months. So about 15 months. I've been putting myself out there. I've been podcasting. I've been doing it in my Instagram. I've been trying to grow my audience. Never made one penny. So it's the hardest one. It's absolutely the hardest one. And I've interviewed many people. I've talked to many people, and the general consensus about what is one of the keys to succeed in podcasting and content, the number one answer to that question is consistency and sticking it out and lasting longer than anyone else. And that is so hard. So if I started my business, 20 employees, blah, blah, blah. If this would have been the business that I started, I wouldn't be who I am, because I would be dead fucking broke. I'd be poor, and I would have no voice, because the voice that I have ultimately is from building a business, being an entrepreneur. That's where I get all my chutzpah. That's where I get all my thoughts. That's where I get any little credibility that I have as I put it over here because I'm in my office and my building's over there where my employees are at. But that is where I get my a little bit of credibility, chutzpah. Like, it's an entrepreneur podcast. I'm an entrepreneur. I wouldn't be an entrepreneur if I just started a podcast that made no money for a year, why would you listen to some guy who starts a podcast about business who never started a business, and all he's ever done is start a podcast that has no following? Like, so it's not the place to start. Content's not the place to start. It's not. The place to start is a product or a service. It really is. And everyone wants to start content because that's the funnest. That's the most fun. It's the coolest. It's the you also get a little personal ego boost or some fame. Like, it's not the place to start. Don't start a content business at first. Did you ever imagine you would be where you are when you started? Did you have any setbacks? First of all, I'm nowhere close to where I imagined when I started. Nowhere close. I imagined being so much bigger than I am now, and I'm still on that path, and I'm on that path, and it feels good. So I'm nowhere close to where I imagined when I started. I imagined being $100 million in revenue, and I'm not there yet. So I'm very proud of where I am at this point on that path. Did I ever have any setbacks? Yeah. 3 years ago, 2017, I was $300,000 in the hole, and I would get my credit card declined at the grocery store buying a frozen pizza. It was the most devastating time of my life. Me and Shelby. So yeah, we've had some setbacks. We have setbacks. That's the bit, like, there's setbacks happen all the time. And that's why when Raxon was talking about, like, I hurt my knee, I'm like, I don't even talk about them. I don't even think about them. I don't even say, like, oh, I mean, it's like, you just always think positively, always just be so positive. Everything's going so great. You need that attitude, because if you start a business, setbacks are a natural part of it. And setbacks and problems, like, if an employee doesn't show up for a day, that's a setback. That's a problem. Like, that happens all the time. There's always problems. There's always, always, always problems if you start a business. It's impossible. Starting a business is basically being like a firefighter, especially if you're in charge, because you need to go where the fire is, or else it'll burn the whole thing down. So if everything's going well, and there's a fire, you got to go fight the fire. You got to be in charge of all the most problems that are happening. And I honestly started the podcast like when there was a point in my life where I was like, I've got this set up where like I'm only managing a couple fires a week as opposed to 20 fires a day. So yes, I've had setbacks. If you have any other questions about being $300,000 in the hole and not being able to afford pasta, that was a hell of a 6 months of my life, and it made me stronger. Everyone expects barstool results off the rip. That's why I respect someone like Portnoy. Dude is a grinder. In all businesses, product, service, and content, none of them are going to be huge off the bat. That's just literally what an idiot would think. An absolute idiot would think that they're going to be successful right away. And the thing that I like about this hypothetical idiot who thinks they're going to be successful right away is their confidence. You can't be purely rational and logical, because you look at the stats, you see most businesses fail. So then you don't do it. You need some type of blind confidence and some type of Kanye West, Donald Trump attitude about I'm the best. You need some of that for sure. But you need to salt and pepper that with the understanding that it's going to be a long haul, and also the understanding that if you have a podcast with 0 views or a video with 0 views, or you put out a big product launch and no one buys any, you can't let that hurt you. You have to be illogical to be an entrepreneur. To even start a business, you have to be purely illogical. But that being said, you also have to logically know that it's not going to happen right away. It's impossible. It doesn't happen right away. So you got to combine. I had this poster on my fucking wall in high school, and it said, it was the lamest poster. It said, keep your head in the stars and your feet on the ground. Keep your head in the stars and your feet on the ground. Head in the stars, dreaming, thinking big, ignoring logic, but then also keep your feet on the ground. Come back down and be like, oh shit, okay, so the reality of this is, and honestly, like if you think like that, there's only one result that comes from that thinking, and it's hard work. And then hard work actually gives you a lot of fulfillment and happiness as a human being. So your life is great. My life is great. It doesn't mean it's easy. That phrase, mo money, mo problems, that's the truest phrase. Sorry, I'm kind of missing some of your comments. Do you imagine, how did I overcome it though? How did I overcome the $300,000 in the hole? One thing that was the most important part of the story was I had a good business where people were buying products. The reason I got $300,000 in the hole was because my business was going great. I hired a bunch of employees, and I needed sales to keep employees running. And I spent too much money on Facebook ads. So I was spending way too much money on Facebook ads, and I was getting a lot of sales. And the revenue looked great. We were getting new customers. The employees had work to do. Everything seemed fine. But at the bottom line, I was spending too much on ads, and I was losing money like a fucking idiot. And every month I was like, yo, we're losing money, but we're a startup. And like with the $300,000, that's the extent of my credit lines, basically. And then I was like, oh shit, this business has to actually make money. So what I did was I fired half of my employees, which was devastatingly painful. And then for 6 months, I was in this situation for 6 months. For 6 months, I struggled. I barely had money to eat. We rented out our house and slept at the office. I I had to beg for it to pay my mortgage, my everything to pay later. I begged and begged and begged to not pay people. But meanwhile, I learned how to run Facebook ads for real. I learned about this thing called target cost ads, where you can set an ad and you can set a target cost. So if you spend as much money as you want, it won't spend it unless it's converting at a certain rate. I went into the weeds and learned the specifics of Facebook ads. And it took me 6 months of hard, concentrated work. And imagine how hard it is to get into the tiny little weeds of your business and be concentrated on like these details of this return on ad spend of Facebook ads, and also keeping everything operating while I know it's 2:00 now. At 5:00, I'm going to have to like steal from the grocery store. I did that a couple of times. I got like a pizza from the grocery store. That you go to the grocery store, they give you a slice of pizza, and then you like kind of walk around the grocery store, and then you walk out the door. I had no food. I'm not exaggerating. And the hope, we had sales. Like say we had $10,000 in sales in a day, and I had negative 200,000 in the bank. 10,000 would come in, and then I would pay the people I needed to pay first, and then the bank, and then like the money would come in at 9:00 in the morning, and it's in my bank account. And then I know around 11:30 a.m. the money's going to get pulled out from like the suppliers that I owe, and it's going to go negative. So I try to pay as many people as I can before 11, between 9 and 11, when the money comes in and this other money's coming out, and then it's negative. And if it's negative 5,000 in the bank account or negative 8,000, what's the difference? Like I paid so many bank fees, and then sometimes they'll reject the check and it'll go back to the thing, and then you say, oh, I don't know what happened. I was dealing with all that shit, but also figuring out my business for real. It was the most hardest, stressful time of my life, and it was one of the most enjoyable 6 months of my life. I loved it. I woke up every day and I went like this. But once I got out of bed, I literally jumped out of bed 6:15 in the morning, started doing this because I was like, I gotta fight, and it gave me so much purpose. And we went to Orange Theory, but we had to quit Orange Theory because we couldn't afford it. But we did get the $10 a month gym, me and Shelby, because we still thought that exercising was an important part, because we had to keep our minds right, we had to keep our bodies right. I cannot explain how challenging this was, but the reason that I stuck with it was because I knew it's such a rare problem. A lot of times people start a business and their problem is they have no traction, no sales, no views, no money. And okay, we had a bunch of sales, but there was other elements of the business that were making it lose money. So that was the reason I stuck with it, because I knew we had a product that people wanted. I just need to figure out some of the weeds. I just need to figure out. So if the problem that I had was no sales, I might have quit the business and started and moved on and punted and just been like, this is not a thing. I tried, did my best, I failed. But I didn't. We gathered an audience. We had a great product market fit, and we were making a lot of money. On the revenue end, on the bottom line, we weren't. And that's the thing I had to figure out. So that was my motivation to keep going, knowing that this specific business, United Monograms, had the potential to still be successful and people liked it. So that's why I kept going with this business. Otherwise, I probably would have gave up and thought about something else. Thanks for the honesty. How did I overcome it? That's how I overcome it. And like, I can't tell you how illogical it was to keep going. I learned so much about banking, and I learned so much about loans and credit lines and supplier net 30s. I stretched myself out as thinly as possible, literally sleeping at my office because we ran out of our house because we needed the money. And honestly, this one time my mom sent me like $1,000, which is literally $1 million to her. And it was so funny because like it was so kind and thoughtful of her, and it just went into like a negative $20,000 bank account. So like it was negative 19,000. I was like, thanks. At that time, I sold my Bitcoin and I made $22,000 profit Bitcoin. Just went right into the hole. It was it was bad. It was very bad. And it was the happiest I've ever been because I already had read all my entrepreneur books. I already had the mindset of what it takes to succeed. And I knew that in order to grow, you need to go through these pains. The pain doesn't always need to be that bad. But goddamn, I enjoyed it. And that, I think, is what makes me crazy. But also I think that's what makes me smart. It's that I understand when to adapt these mindsets, when to put attention to something, when to not put attention to something, when to start, when to give up, when to keep fighting. I knew to keep fighting. And I knew that my business had a problem with the ad spend. And I knew that I needed to figure it out. And I knew that I was going to figure it out. Until this day, the lessons I learned during those 6 months are the same principles I run business on. We need 2.5 return on ad spend on Facebook ads. And we need about 25% or less percentage of daily revenue in ads to make a profit. And I learned that, and 3 years later, I still use those metrics to know if we're profitable or not. And that putting that little line, knowing if the ad spend's at 40%, I turn off the ads because I know it's losing money. So like I need to run ads that are 25% or less with a 2.5 ad spend. Like these are the things I learned during that time period, and they are crucial lessons. And I'm mad at myself that's kind of how I did it. I was like, let's blow up and then deal with the problems. And honestly, I'm about to get this $22,000 square foot building. It's $3 million. And I'm sure there will be some growing pains from going from 3,500 square feet to 22,000 square feet. And I'm going to have to deal with those pains. And I know I'm going to be ready for them. How do you know if your driving purpose is the right one? Like, what if the driving purpose one leads them into deeper waters, and in the end, it screws them over? How does one figure out which direction to go the right one for? So there's two things. There's the business, whatever the business is, and then there's like your purpose. I have a very simple purpose. I love running businesses and I want to run a business. So I ended up selling monograms. That's the business that I've caught on to now that I've been doing for a couple of years. That's been really good. And it has traction. It has traction. And I don't take that for granted. I'm so honored that it has traction. The fact that it has traction is the reason why I stick with that business. And my purpose is just to have a successful business. So those two things align. If you start a business and you're 6 months into the business and you're driven by it and the business is getting zero traction, zero sales, zero views, it's okay to give up because it's called a product market fit. You need to provide a product or service that fits the market and you need to match them up. And if you don't have the right market or the right product or one or the other, you either need to adjust your product to a different market or take your product and find a new market to adjust it to. If you have like some invention and no one ever wants it, then maybe that's just a bad idea and you need to move on from it. Product market fit. They're two different things. And when I say product, I mean product, service, or content. Product, service, or content, your product, in the market. The market. Markets are so important. We have a market for United Monograms, the group of people who love monograms. And guess what? I didn't create the market. The market existed. That is the beauty of finding a market that already exists. That would be my first advice in starting a business is find a market that already exists and penetrate it. You know how hard it is to create a new market? That's so hard to do. You want to find a market that exists and try to penetrate it. So trust your gut on a purpose standpoint. But from a business standpoint, you need to find a product or a service or a content that fits a specific market and then just pound it. Do I ever get sick of monograms? Maybe. I don't, but there's the market's there and we've been committed to it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, coming up on 5 years. And we know we know the market. We know the market. We're masters of the market. So it works. So I think that kind of answers your question. When to give up is either if your business sucks, you have no product market fit, and maybe there's no market, and maybe there's no product. You can give up on a market, you can give up on a product. But if you believe in a market and you believe in a product, then keep adjusting to try to find the product market connection. But if one of those two things doesn't exist, then you have to give up. And don't blame yourself for trying. Can you recommend any inspirational books? Think and Grow Rich. The name of this show is Drink and Grow Rich. It's based off the book Think and Grow Rich. It is the most amazing book of all time. There's another one called it's called like the Richest Man in Town, or like The Salesman Next Door. Those might be two different books. But just honestly, just Think and Grow Rich. You already hit bottom. Everything else is bonus points. Best position to ever be in because you know the worst case. Fuck yeah. That's actually what Stoicism is. Stoicism is a ancient Roman philosophy where Marcus Aurelius, who is one of the famous politicians from Roman times, this is before Jesus. His thing was, once in a while, he would go down with all the poor people, put on the poor people clothes, and live the life of a poor person for a week, 2 weeks. He was rich. And he did that. And that gave him perspective. He said, if I can survive the worst situation in the world, then I'm good. I can survive anything. So a little bit of stoicism as far as, and that was in ancient Roman times before Jesus. Now, dude, we're good now. We got anyone can find a roof to sleep under. Anyone can gather some quarters and get a McDouble for $1. It's easier now. Can you give me some advice about starting a side business? More specifically, I want to know some expectations I should have going into it. I'm not a big side business guy, to be honest. And that doesn't mean that side businesses are bad. It means my perspective and my advice. I'm an all-in kind of guy. I'm an all-in kind of guy. There's a story about this military leader. He took his army on the beach. They went there on a boat. He took his army on the beach to go fight the war. And then he burned down the boat. And the guys in the army were like, what the fuck? You burned down the boat. He's like, now you have to win. Like, you have to win now or else we can't get back. And it was a motivational tactic to burn down your boat, burn down your option to go back. And I feel like that works for me. And that's the way I personally have to do it. A side business is kind of like, it's too practical. Entrepreneurship is unpractical. Side business is practical, and it always gives you an out. It always gives you an excuse. It always gives you I can't work on it because I got my real job. It always gives you now if you mentally handle it right, if you say, fuck my real thing, I'm just doing it for money and security, and I'm all in on my real thing, on my side business, and the second I get the revenue it's generating, if you can do it right in your head, then go for the side business. But expectations for a side business is that it will not succeed because it will never get the effort that it needs. What if you had a kid and he's your side kid and you just kind of left him in the room with the other most of the time? How's he not going to die? He's going to die. He's going to die. You leave a little kid in the room and you check on him sometimes when you feel like it, they'll die. Babies need to be held. They need to be fed. They need to be taken care of every second. That's kind of what businesses are like. So a side business, I don't like it. I'm not the guy to ask about side businesses. I'm not a big fan. Good to Great is a good book. I've read that before. I've read Good to Great. R.I.P. King Von. I don't know what that means. Touche about the side business, but do you recommend just quitting your job full time now? I do. I do recommend that. And one thing I've learned about over the years about me giving my perspective is that my perspective is not everybody. I'm a little wild. I'm high energy. Like, I'm nuts. So that works for me to be able to quit it. And also, when I did quit it, I was 22. I had no kids. I had no wife. I had no mortgage. I had no bills. I had my mom's beat down car that I was still driving around. All I had to pay for was gas. I think I switched my cell phone around that time. Like, if you're in the situation where you have a rent or a mortgage and a cell phone bill and insurance, I mean, you've got to find a way to cover those expenses. So that's why I don't suggest starting a content business, because you're never going to have revenue right away. You don't need profit to cover those expenses. Like, the thing about selling t-shirts or like selling services like lawn mowing or something like that is that you can start it and you can put your cell phone bill and shit on a credit card. And you can not do great. You can sell only 4 shirts, but 4 shirts for $25, you have $100 coming in. So then you take that $100, you pay the minimum on your credit cards, you have revenue. Like, that's the thing I've always loved about the business that I'm in, is that we do have revenue. Like, if we're having a bad day, that means we have like 7,000 in revenue. 7,000 in revenue would be a disastrous day for us. 20,000, 15,000, that's like a normal day. Above that, it's a great day. Like, and that's covering all of my expenses and shit like that. But if you have revenue, you have a little bit of like play, like you can credit things. You can put things on a credit cards. So like, I suggest starting a business that could be bad, but get money. You sell 1 shirt, 2 shirts, you get 40, $50. You have 40, $50 coming into your bank account. The next day you sell 6 shirts, you get $180 coming into your bank account. So the last 2 days, you're not blowing up, but you had $200 come into your bank account. That can help you pay off the $50 minimum on your credit card each month. Like, it's nice to have some revenue, and it can help you pay those bills, even though you're losing money, and even though ultimately you're negative, you can still survive because you have money to throw at the things that are your number one bloodlines, your bloodlines. Actually, I like to use the term bloodlines in business. My shipping, my operations is my bloodlines. And like, if you have enough blood for your bloodlines, you can still push yourself. And even if you're like out of breath and losing money and pushed to the limits, you're not going to die. And if you start a business where you're never going to have revenue for like 5 years and you need to pay your cell phone bill, then you'll never be able to pay it. And you'll just be in big trouble. So that's what's nice about starting a business. You're in a lot of credit card debt, and then you get a lawn mowing job and you get $300. And then you spread that $300 out throughout all the credit cards. It gives you another month. It gives you another month of survival. So start a business that generates revenue, and absolutely take on credit card debt. Why not? Take on debt. It's not a bad thing. Excellent point. Touche. All right. Anyone who's with me, let's take a sip. How did you get Dave Meltzer to come on your podcast? That dude's the man. Out of the success of my podcast, well, my podcast is not successful. I would say if I were to make a claim that my podcast is successful, it would be that I've had some really awesome guests on the show. And I just asked. And when David Meltzer came on my podcast, for anyone who doesn't know David Meltzer, he is the sports agent that the movie Jerry Maguire is based off of. He's worth a couple $100 million. He's a very successful guy. And now he's doing he's had so much success in business that one of the things he's doing now is like content business, right? So he's willing to go on shows. If he goes on my show, he's taking a risk that it gets 10 views or 100,000 views. He is willing to take that risk to do it for half an hour. But I know, because when he came on my podcast, the first thing he said was, "You got a great voice, Sean." And he hadn't even heard me talk yet. So I know what he probably did was 5 minutes before, he went on YouTube and he searched me and he saw what I did. And so when he goes to my YouTube, what he sees is it's consistent, it's well produced. I'm willing to go on the show. You don't think that guy listened to all 69 of my podcasts? No chance in hell. He just took a quick glance. He said, this is worth my half hour. And that's how I got him on, by asking and by having a show that is legitimate. And legitimate is a low bar. That was not a sip. Katrina, you're in the lead for a winner. What up, Brandon? Brandon just popped in. Say hello. Come on.
Hello.
Brandon hasn't been here the whole time because you got so much shit to do, right?
Yeah. You having fun? What are you talking about?
Just talking about whatever. Brandon is learning how to be a business-minded person where you have a lot of responsibilities and tasks to do throughout a week, throughout a day, throughout a month. And you have to not only work hard to get those things done, you also have to prioritize, and you also have to manage it all. And it's not chill. It is intense. It is intense as far as it's 5 o'clock hits, and you're like, a lot of people, normal people, will go home. They go to work, or they go home and they just turn off. Like, the greats don't turn off. The greats keep going when they get home at 5 o'clock. And always thinking, always being on. It's a commitment to your craft, your work. And the people who do that tend to be the people who will be successful. And it's a little bit of an obsession, but you're also obsessed with watching YouTube videos and jerking off and watching your 6 o'clock show come on every Wednesday. Like, just put that energy towards productive stuff, and it's very fulfilling and happy. Did you have to pay David Meltzer? No. I only paid one person ever, and I didn't pay him directly. I paid them through buying their books, and that was Patrick Bet David, who's by far my biggest guest. And if you guys don't know Valuetainment, check it out. That shit is bumping. They have a great thing going. It's called Valuetainment. I've had 3 guys from them on my podcast. 4, actually. And it's all run by Patrick Bet David. Patrick Bet David. This dude is a legend. If you're sitting here getting advice from me, Patrick Bet David. He's worth about $150 million. It's funny when you see celebrity net worths. Nico put me onto it. Yeah. Nico loves it. And the thing about Nico loving it is, like, Patrick Bet David has a lot of. I talked to him. He's traditionally been a guy who just talks about entrepreneurship and business. He's interested in, like, the issues of the world. So, like, I knew Patrick Bet David before Nico because I love entrepreneurship. Nico's not necessarily in the entrepreneurship shit, but, like, when you bring this intelligent entrepreneurship mindset over to, like, some issues of the world, you can get a bigger audience and more people who are just interested in, like, thinking. And Patrick Bet David's done that. He's gone from just entrepreneur talk to the same guy, but also talking about some politics and issues in the world. And that gets a wider audience for sure. Do you set aside time each week to read and learn more about business? Amazing question. For the last 3 years, I have not. When I was 19, to when I was 24, I literally bathed myself in knowledge every second of every day. When I was 19, I used to go to Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble. And I didn't have any money, $0. So I would start reading a book, and then I would bookmark. I would take the page, and I would bookmark the book, bookmark the page I was on, and I would say there's like 10 of them, and I would put it in the back. And then the next day I'd come back and go to the back and pick the one out, and I would unfold my bookmark and continue reading the book. I did that with so I spent my whole day at Barnes & Noble reading books. And I feel like from 19 to 24, I consumed so much knowledge that it's ingrained in me. Now I'm 30, 31 now, and I'm at a stage now where I think I need to get back into. So I had the stage where I was nothing but was learning everything, and then that was like 6 years, 5 years. Then I spent 5 or 6 years, obviously still listening to stuff and being interested in stuff, but my main thing was building, and I built something pretty good. So now the next 5 or 6 years, I feel like I need to get back into the learning phase, but from a higher level. And I started promising myself this week. I posted on a story on Instagram, Patrick Bet-David's book. Start reading more and learning more. But the thing is, I already know so much of this basic stuff that I need to find the right things to focus my mind on, because it's like a level up. But it's a good question. And no, I have not really been doing that so much the last 3-4 years. I'm probably definitely more than the average person. But I'm going to make a commitment back to learning in the next 4 to 5 years. My YouTube algorithm was on him before you. Got me onto Scott Adams. Fucking Nico. I was kidding. Yeah, I mean, Patrick Bet-David, he's huge on YouTube. Yeah, I did get you onto Scott Adams. So far, we haven't talked about politics at all. But Scott Adams is the man, and I love the way he thinks. But like, he is kind of like a Trump defender. Tell me your thoughts on having a mentor. Whew, that's a great question. EVK 414, you're in the running for this with Katrina. The two of you are, one of you two is going to be the winner. I have never had success. I've never had a mentor in my entire life. Now, is Gary Vee one of my mentors? Like, I've listened to thousands of hours of his podcasts. Like, the thing about mentors that's different from now than 20 years ago is you can get a lot of mentor-ish information from books and podcasts and YouTube videos. Like, you can engage every day in information, and you can learn it. It's obviously not specific to you because it's just a general thing, but there's so much to learn if you know nothing. If you know nothing, there's so much to learn for free where you don't specifically need a mentor. I feel like I might be at the stage where I've always kind of like, I've never had a mentor, and I've always kind of brushed them off a little bit. Like, I've read so many books, I've learned so much stuff, I know so much about how the mind works, how to think in business, that now I just need to worry about my own practical situation. What can a mentor do? Is my mentor going to help me do this stuff, or is he just going to guide me? I already know where to guide myself. And the last 3 to 4 years, I've had that thought of, so I'm interested in bringing myself to the next level. I've done over $12 million in sales. I've like 15, 17 employees. Business is growing. I'm getting the 22,000 square foot building. I'm doing well in business. But now do I need a mentor to go to the next level? Because I've noticed over the past 3 to 4 years that I can't get the stuff I need from the basic stuff, the books and the podcasts and the business talk. I've mastered the level 1. And level 2, there's no reason for anyone to start a podcast about level 2 because there's not that many people at level 2. So that might be, I might need to get a mentor. I'm much more open right now to finding some type of CEO group or mentorship group. And when I had Patrick Bet-David on my podcast, he said to do that. And I still was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know where to find him, to be honest. But Cuban is my mentor. Mark Cuban. Oh, Evan Krieg. What up, bro? From high school. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I didn't even notice, but now that I see you, I 100% notice. Hell yeah, I know you, dude. Mark Cuban is my favorite person. I think he should be the next president, for sure. Do you have emergency liquid cash balance for your business? Yeah, I do. No, we didn't get on Shark Tank. Motherfuckers. I don't know why. I'd like to know why we didn't get on Shark Tank, because I thought our video was awesome. I would say we didn't get on Shark Tank because either they weren't interested in a niche business like Monograms, or we had too much revenue. We had too, like, have you ever seen a business on there that has $5 million in yearly revenue? Or I just suck and they don't like me. Will I be trying again? No. Yeah, those motherfuckers. That's right. I hate them. I hate them all. No, actually, getting the politics thing a little bit, like, I like Mark Cuban as a president because Andrew Yang and Mark Cuban, I put in the same category. And I think they're the next generation of political thinkers, tech people. The next generation of political thinkers needs to be tech people, tech entrepreneurs. That's the next generation of political thinking. And now that Biden won, or probably won, that's like drags out it to be another 4 years because you re-election and stuff like that. Like I was hoping we would have Trump for 4 more years and then we could end this era, which was a spectacular era of anyone could be president. You don't have to be a lifelong politician. And that would spring to the next generation of presidents and political people who are thinking about new political issues, automation, cyber warfare, like these issues that are coming and are more important than we ever know, and they're something that the modern generation of politicians aren't masters of. So if Mark Cuban ever runs for president, whatever party it is, whatever day of the week it is, I will go vote for that man no matter what. And if it was him versus Yang, I'd vote for Cuban over Yang. Like those two guys are my future political heroes. They're my future political heroes. Andrew Yang, Mark Cuban are my future political heroes as far as the people that I know. I like the election. I know you're a Trump fan, but it seems to be accepting the democratic process. Fuck yeah. I'm a Trump fan, like, just because I think he's fucking so cool. Like, I don't really have good justice politically. I think he's the man. I love how he doesn't care about. I don't give a fuck who wins. And like, if you follow me and like, you might think that I do. I don't give a fuck. I like Donald Trump. I like him a lot. And the thing that I like about him is probably the thing most people hate him for is like, he's optimism. Like it doesn't come off to some people as optimism. Like the coronavirus, he did a bad job handling it. He pissed too many people off. He was too much of a dick about it. But what he was trying to say, I wish I could communicate it for him. What he was trying to say was, this is bad, but no matter what, we have to be optimistic about this negative circumstance. Yes, this is bad. This is terrible. But there's no point in soaking in the negative attitude. We have to always think forward and think positively. Just like I was saying earlier about Braxton towards ACL, and I was like, I don't care, man. Like, I'm not interested in those things. I'm interested in the positive things. And like, he has that attitude, and it's so inspirational, and it's so magical and motivational. But when it comes out his mouth, he kind of sounds like a dick sometimes, and that hurt him. That hurt him big time. And the one thing I'll never forgive him for, or I forgive him for it, but like during the George Floyd situation, all he had to do was just make some type of, he never did like, I'm everyone's president. I'm your president. I love everyone. He did a little bit of it, a little bit of love. And I do believe actually, I actually think it's like, his heart's full of love and he just wants the best for everyone through a selfish like lens. But he never said the words enough. I love everyone. You can still be a fucking competitive dick, but once in a while, switch your tone up and be like, I love everyone. This is the best country. I love every single person. We are special because we are loving, kind people. He needed to mix in more of those kindness stuff. Kindness ended up being the reason he didn't win. He's a great president. He's great at the job. He's obviously very good at persuasion, and he's great at building a base, and he's great. I do believe he is a positive, optimistic, kind, loving person. I can see through it. But ultimately, he didn't use the words enough about, I love you guys. I love this country no matter what. I'm the president of all Americans. He didn't say that stuff enough. And he needed to do that during George Floyd. He needed to do that during COVID. It is what it is. Honestly, it is what it is. It really is what it is. COVID is what it is. That's the approach that's like, it's negative, it's bad. Let's move forward in a positive light. I respect that. But can't he understand how if you say it is what it is, people will be pissed about that? If he just said, It's an absolute tragedy. It's so sad that people died. We don't want any people to die. We want people to live and prosper. That's what America's all about. America is about living and being prosperous and being happy and loving your family. And this situation sucks. It sucks. It's unfortunate. It's not our fault. It's China's fault. It was brought upon us. I did the best I could in managing it. And I know how painful it is for a lot of people out there. But if we're going to look at it positively, we just kind of have to think like, it is what it is, and we're going to get through it. He could have said it like that, and it would have been the exact same message with a little bit more kindness wrapped around it. And he didn't do that well with that. Did I ever have anyone laugh at my business idea? I mean, when I first started business, everyone laughed at me. My friends called me T-shirt boy. They're like, "Hey, I'm sure you'll be a millionaire, T-shirt boy. Like, good luck quitting your job and starting your mom's basement." They thought I was an idiot, and I was. So they were right. If so, what are they like with you now? We're still great friends. All my good friends who were questioning me starting a business, we're all still great friends, and they think I'm awesome. And they don't really like care about me, like they don't like overthink about me. It's funny, like with the podcasting stuff specifically, I'm putting myself out there. Like they're not liking all my posts. My friends don't like all my posts and comment on my posts. Like they're not my fanboys, and I don't blame them. They're my friends. They're not my fans. But it's like it has 0% affected like my personal relationship with them. Like I'll go to weddings with like my friends and family, have a great time being myself, and like we rarely talk about like my podcasting and social media stuff. And that's fine. Like I think I'm like transparent enough and like raw enough where like it's all good. And I just am who I am in the situation that I'm in. And if someone says like one of my employees met with me the other day and they're like, "I listened to 5 year podcast," and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That's cool." Like I didn't know. Like I thought that was interesting. Um, Predictions for Trump not in office. Like how would he be? Dude, I mean, he's probably gonna be a dick. He's probably gonna like sit around and talk about how bad Biden is and shit like that. But that has much less charm to it than it did pre-office and during office. So there's a difference between what I think it'll be like and what I suggest for it to be like. I suggest for him to be graceful, to be himself, and definitely throw out your tweets once in a while, being a dick, but have an overall graceful attitude. But he's not going to do that. That's what I think he should do. But what I think he will do is just be a fucking menace. And that's kind of like a little bit of his problem. I can't believe he lost. I mean, it's not over. And Scott Adams was saying in a movie, this is the exact part of the movie where like the guy comes back. If he does win, I will be happy, and I want him to win. I want him to win because I think this has been a big ego hit on him, and he will be himself, which is the great president that he is, and he will have a little bit more like maybe I need to say more. I love all Americans more, and then also, so I like that part, and also I want this era to end in 4 years and start a new era. Now that we're mixing it up in the middle of this era, it's gonna fuck it up for the next era. So, but what will he be like? I gotta say, I really don't know. I really don't know. I do think that he is still like the heart of the Republican Party, and I think there's a lot of good to that. Like I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I like Trump. So I guess over the past couple of years, I guess I've been in the Republican side. I guess because I'm a fan of his. I'm not a party though, and that's what makes it easy for me to immediately accept the results. Dude, Biden's not a problem. He's cool, man. He's got no malarkey. He's got the fucking aviators. He's a good man. It's going to actually make politics not interesting anymore. And that actually could be good. That actually could be good. I don't think the socialists are going to take over the world because that's not Biden. But like the scary thing is like if you look at Biden's Twitter, you know he's not doing all those tweets. It's somebody else. And who is that somebody else? That's the part that I don't like because that could change. I love the fact that Trump's himself, and you know it's just this guy, this guy. But like Biden is just literally the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party has a lot of good things to it. But like, just like any political party, they're nasty as well. But just like it's the trust issue there. If there's some problem going on, say about social media censorship, I don't think Biden's got it under control. I was going to be like, he's not, I basically see him as like not the leader, but like and like when it comes down to actually solving stuff, it'll just be other, it's, Joe Rogan always says we shouldn't have a president. We should have somebody in charge of this, somebody in charge of this. It is nice in a corporation in the country to have one person to kind of like hang your hat on. It's not, that won't be Biden. Like, can you say my name, please? Cameron Gray, 2007. It's just funny how people have the understanding that Kamala is terrifying. I mean, I don't really like Kamala just as far as like a person. She's obviously inauthentic and she's 100% a politician. She'll say whatever she needs to say to be liked. That's actually pretty normal. I'm sure she's a fine person, but like I don't ride with Kamala. So obviously you said United Monograms was a lot of work. What do you think took you from a couple hundred website views to a few sales a day to thousands of views to hundreds of sales a day? Understanding the audience, selling them products that they like, getting them on our email list, sending our email list to Facebook, Facebook creating a lookalike audience of our email list, selling more people stuff on Facebook, them coming on our email list, them liking our products, us learning more about them. It's a cycle. That's how we did it. We should never president. I agree with Rogan. I kind of don't agree with that. I kind of think we should because it's good to have someone to like a personality to like ultimately be responsible for things. I watched a stand-up where he said that. Yeah, I don't agree with him on that. All right, the winner is Katrina. Katrina Montgomery. And the reason she won is she has some awesome questions. She's looking for a career change. And also, there's a couple other times she should have won. So, congratulations, Katrina. Still there, baby. Woo! You absolutely 1,000% deserve it. And I'm going to DM you right after this and find out what your favorite drink is. And then I'm going to look up how much it costs. I'm going to Venmo you that much money. And your job is to go buy the drink with the money. And then ideally post it saying, ooh, I want to drink Go Rich. Here's my drink. But also I've been doing Drink Go Rich for about 22, 23 weeks. And I'm pretty sure most people just pocketed the money. Yo, Krieg, you're the man, dude. I'm super happy that you're engaging with me. And high school is so funny, man. High school, like what a weird thing. But I always remember I always liked you. All right. Peace out. I love you guys. And thanks for tuning in to the stupidest show on the internet.